Hello, this is Cityscape, a regular podcast featuring people, places, and ideas that impact Livonia. I'm Dan West with the Livonia Chamber of Commerce. U.S. Army Reserve Major General Darrell Guthrie is the commanding general of the 88th Readiness Division. The operation provides human resources services, facilities management, and equipment repair and maintenance for the Army Reserve units in a 19-state region, including Michigan. Major General Guthrie's division is based in Fort Snelling in Minnesota and Fort McCoy in Wisconsin. He is in Livonia today to connect with city and business leaders to help us better understand the skill set that his reservists can provide to local employers. General, thank you. Welcome to Livonia, and thank you for joining us today.
Dan, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So my first question to you is, help us understand the scope of the amount of people you oversee, facilities, and describe the geographic region of which you serve.
Okay, so the 88th Readiness Division covers the 19-state region that starts in Ohio and extends to the Pacific Northwest, and then is bounded on the south by Colorado and Utah being the two biggest states. And within that area, we oversee over 10 million square feet of facility space. There are 55,000 Army Reserve soldiers that are in that area. We maintain thousands of pieces of equipment and have a budget of about $200 million. In any given year, we're doing military construction projects that total in the area of $50 million in any given year.
To help us understand the better overview of the reserve program, can you help us understand what are the active duty responsibility of somebody who enlists in the U.S. Army Reserves?
Yeah, so a standard Army Reservist is going to serve, we talk about 39 days a year. Mm-hmm. Now that's one weekend a month, so 2 days every month, and then 2 weeks during the year, or 15 days, so 39 days. The Army as a whole is really committed to start to make that sort of what we are asking of our Army Reservists. Now that's not easy. There's a lot to do. About 12% of the Army Reserve are full-time people, and the other 88% are traditional reservists doing this 39 days a year. But I think it's a reasonable balance. I've been a traditional reservist 25 years of my career, and it's manageable. It's not it's not too much, and so I think it fits in nicely with an employer, what an employer might be looking for.
How long is the commitment to be a reservist?
Well, it depends. So a typical Army Reserve contract is for 6 years of active being an active drilling reservist, and then 2 years as a kind of in the standby reserve, so to speak. Some commitments are shorter than that, but the typical one is 6 years.
Are you still looking to recruit reservists today?
Oh, absolutely. So the Army and the Army Reserve is one of the three components of the Army. In any given year, we're going to turn over about somewhere between 15 and 20% of our force, no matter what. So not everyone who serves in the Army Reserve makes a career of it. They're going to do their 6 years and move on into civilian life full time, or people may be retiring. So in any given year, 15 to 20% turnover. So we're always looking for people. So 200,000 people, give or take a few thousand in the Army Reserve. So that means what? You're looking for about 40,000 people a year to fill our ranks.
Now you're in town today to connect the skill set that your reservists have, particularly in the 88th Readiness Division, to employers here in Southeast Michigan, specifically Livonia today. Can you talk about the unique skill sets your reservists have that might be a good fit for some of our employers?
Okay. So the Army Reserve provides the bulk of what we call enablers to the Army. The biggest pieces of that are engineers, logisticians of various types, and medical professionals. Those are probably the three biggest. We also have military police soldiers. We have, my previous command was civil affairs and psychological operations soldiers. We have public affairs soldiers who do what we're doing here today for the Army. We even have an Army band here in Livonia. So we have kind of a real broad swath of jobs that can be done in the Army Reserve.
In addition to job readiness and the training that you give reservists as they enter the workforce, what are some of the other economic development attributes that the U.S. Army, the Readiness Division that you lead here in Michigan? I know there's a lot of facilities that you oversee here in Michigan. Talk about the other attributes that your operation has here in the Midwest and in Michigan.
Okay, so for example, we have we call them AMSA shops, okay? Now, think of it as a big vehicle repair shop. So we have civilians. Many of them are what we call military technicians, which mean they work for us during the week as a civilian, but they're also an Army reservist. So those facilities maintain, they're kind of a catchment area for units in the area, and then they do a higher level of maintenance or services that may have to be done on vehicles or small arms or communications devices. So that's a steady state thing that we do, every work day of the year right here. We have, like I said earlier, about 12% of our force is full-time. So about 8% of that, 8 or 9% of that are full-time soldiers in uniform, and the other are civilians that work in the community. Okay. In Michigan alone, our economic impact is almost $190 million a year.
Before we started, we talked about the need for skilled trade workers here in Livonia, and frankly, there's a huge need nationally as well. But specifically, what type of skilled trades talents do you think your reservists best provide for local employers looking for skilled trade talent?
Okay, I usually try to talk to people from kind of this standpoint. So, what do you get from a soldier in general? So, one of the things you get is you get someone who understands leadership. Not all of them are in a position yet where they're leaders, but they understand leadership. Part of that is they understand how to be a follower. So I think one of the things you can expect from almost all Army Reserve soldiers is they're going to understand how to take direction. They're going to understand how to accomplish a mission. They're gonna understand what it takes to get the job done, because that's how we train. That's how we train our soldiers. They receive a whole bunch of training on Army values, which I think are important to any employer: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honesty, integrity, and personal courage. I think that's important to any employer.
Well, General, we definitely thank you for coming in and talking with us today, sharing your story, very, very inspiring story about, and you're no different than us. We're about connecting people in many ways, and that's why we're meeting today, and I appreciate you talking to us. We wish you all the best with your meetings today with the business and city leaders here in Livonia.
Hey, thank you, Dan. It really is. It's an honor to sit down with you. I don't know that I've done one of these before, so hopefully this turned out all right.
Well, it seemed like you're here to introduce people what you folks do, so it made sense to get it out on another platform here. So I hope this works for both of us.
Awesome.
So very good. Thank you. And we thank everyone for watching this episode of Cityscape. We'll see you next time.